inside the local Pili oil. That's why, you see, kaya walang tapon, no waste. From the shell, we have some stakeholders, they make the pendant, see, they chop the shell. You know.
Can you go to the previous one? Two previous ones ago. One more behind. What's that?
That's a Pili palm oil. That's a mga local backyard, they do that. They sell
Palm oil.
No, pulp.
Palm oil. Okay.
Pili palm oil.
Yes, different packages.
Yeah, locally produced, sell locally.
Okay.
Where can we get that? Available in supermarkets?
I think there are some. Pero hindi kami karami. Kasi, I don't know if they have. Meron sa Sorsogon, but this came from Sorsogon.
Wala mga FDA.
They are this used for
Clarification?
crude oil.
You want?
Yes.
Yeah. Clarification.
You obviously have a lot of product, and the marketing side is very clear. I'm curious about the production side. How do you organize your production? Is most of your product coming from the resin or from the nut? And for example, do you breed? Are the trees being bred for nut production or for resin production? I'm just curious how you manage the raw material supply chain. Is that I assume it's a series of smallholder producers, but I'm just curious how that.
You know, that is the biggest problem we have. When I started into this, I didn't consider the raw materials. I thought it is there for you taking.
Right.
Now when we see the opportunity already and orders coming in, then I try to find the inventories with DA. I said, do you know, can I have inventories about Pili trees so I can make a feasibility study? I will know how much raw materials I can get, so I can commit selling. But even DA, they don't have accurate statistics. So, but since we organize ourselves as the Pili Commodity Board, we started to do that in collaborations with DA, with the SUC, but on our own, as a private sector, we do that also ourselves. Because especially now, when you export, they are very strict. They have to know, they make audit trail. They have to know where your Pili oil or the racing came from. They came over here to check. So we organize a farmers group, our group, the farmers who are very honest and very quality conscious people, and they own the land. We tag the trees. So whenever our importer come in to check, they have the tree number, they know. Because now in the States, especially they have the Lazy Act, that they are being penalized when they buy from third world country, they exploit the price, they exploit the farmers, they are being penalized. So they came over here, they want to see the tree, and most especially is the sustainability, sustainable harvest. You know, last year, there are a lot of Europeans coming in because they used to import a lot. But now that become decreasing. The export and the quality is not so good. So a lot come over to look what is the problem. Now they see because, I said, you know the problem, you buy too cheap, you buy too low. That's why the farmer have to tap more so they can sell and get a more price. So what I did, when I first came into this, I asked, how much are you paying the farmer for the resin? 20 pesos. How? 20 pesos? They have to go up to the mountain and get the resin, come down. So how much do they need to tap to get that? If they need 500 a day, so how much do they have to tap? So I said, that's too low. So I didn't know what to do with the resin. I just increased the price. I said, okay, I'll get it 100 from you. You buy it from the farmer 800. Or I get it 100, 120, you get it 100 from the farmer. So the price would go up. That's how I started. And then I bought a lot of resin, just stuck it in my warehouse. That's where my daughter saw it. Mommy, what are you going to do with all this oil? I do not know. I said, I just want to see. I know there are many things to be done, but I have not yet did the research. I just want to raise the price first. So that's how we started with the resin.
But the problem, the question, Mr. King, is process. Can you describe
The process, all the different products, Some we can do that in our own place. Some we have it tolled, like the soap, the lotion. We have tollers, third-party tollers, which are accredited with FDA. We provide all the raw materials. They are the one who assemble everything.
With machinery.
Actually, sir, before, there's a problem, a big problem on how to take care of the tree. So before, the traditional way of getting the sap or the elemi oil was to really kill the tree. So that time when Miss Rosalina Tan came to Bicol and then tried to understand that we really need pili trees because that's the fear of most farmers that they usually do. So like what I showed a while ago, there's a Chanel, there's a Gucci. So Chanel and Gucci purchased the elemi oil to the farmers, not knowing the fact that they already killed the trees. So once Mr. Rosalina Tan conducted the studies, so there must be a process way and a particular cut that needs to be done by not suffering the trees. So, Mr. Rosalina conducted studies, manuals, or a training, and currently helping the farmers. So, most likely, how many families that they have. So, they become the livelihood. So, we need at least 6 years old tree to have this quality of the elemi oil. So, the farmers didn't kill the tree, but prolong the parang life of the tree by cutting a particular part. So that's the time that every time that we cut the sap, so continuous pa rin yung life of the tree. Same goes with the
similar to
oil.
rubber? Similar to the rubber cutting?
Yes, actually, the two key ingredients that we have is the elemi oil and the pili oil. Pili oil is somehow at par at argan oil from Morocco. So based on studies, they have the same effects, benefits. So it's just more on commercialized Morocco than the pili oil. But when it comes to functions, moisturizing content, they are all the same. And then for the elemi oil, that's the sap or the resin. That's the antibacterial content. That's why maybe siya yung nagiging source ng fire. Pero that's the antibacterial and anti-aging content. So they also use it for the anti-aging cream of Chanel.
Okay,
So that's
you
the
might
purpose.
have already touched on this earlier, ma'am. But are there people or groups planting pili trees, or is it just in the wild right now? Because
Yes.
related to that is, aside from Bicol, because it's like rubber, no? So it's the small farmer cannot wait for six years. But aside from Bicol, so my first question is this related: are there persons or groups planting? Number two, where else in the Philippines can you plant?
Actually, during our meeting with the UST last week, number one they said, what is the suitable soil for planting pili? They have to look what do you need, the rainfall, the volcanic soil, or anything. And they are still busy trying to study on that. I said, we can start. Since Bicol, pili started from Bicol, why don't we start planting, saturate Bicol first with the pili tree? Because actually we don't have plantation of pili tree. It's all backyard or road in the mountain.
There are no plantations at all.
Not before, but now it's starting to pick up.
What size are they? How many
I
hectares?
think they plant 10 hectares, 20 hectares. But I know, do you know, ECJ Cobanco, he has 200 hectares in Bacolod. He has that foresight. He knows that way before. But the problem there is he did not choose the right seed, the right
Species.
seeds.
Species.
Or you just buy the seedling from anywhere.
What
But
is the right species?
I think we can ask later, Mr. Pope. He is into nursery. But now you know what we are doing in Pili. We organize ourselves. And the first thing we are going to do is nursery. The nursery now, the VA is very strict also. BPI, the Bureau of Plant Industry. If you open a nursery, you have to be accredited with BPI. You have to know the mother tree, to get the mother tree where you get the seeds. It has to be registered and certified. So now, slowly we are moving on the right direction. First with the seeds. And now we're working together.
You mean
We are working together.
There
He's
are
also in
different
our
species. How many species are there for you to choose from? Okay, okay. I think you want to answer that.
Hello. That's the problem, the supply. Problem is supply of pili. In fact, in Bicol, they are not planting pili. The problem is that. So I propagate it in the whole Philippines, and I know already that pili is good for the commercial purpose. In fact, Secretary Piñol is interested in pili industry. He will schedule with me to talk about pili. Mr. Piñol is interested in pili. And the problem of they are not planting pili before, they plant seedling. The government supplied seedling. And after 7 years, majority of the planting materials are made. So they are disgusted because they produce more male pili tree. But I talked to them that at present, they are already 100% female because of a sexually propagated pili. The problem of the DA in Bicol, they are not introducing the new technique to the farmers in order them to plant pili. That's the problem.
These are marcoted or seeds from seeds? They're not marcoted trees.
No, granted, it is a sexually propagated.
It's from
That
seeds.
is for commercial purpose.
Yes. Okay, what species is the most effective or the most productive or the ideal?
The Magnayi and the Lanusa variety and the Lisa is a good variety.
Okay.
They are big.
Okay. And you can recognize them from the seeds
Yes,
itself.
I have that variety.
Okay.
I have registered variety in my Pili nursery.
Okay.
In fact, I have already scheduled for the Pili establishment nursery, Pili nursery establishment, and many are attending from Mindanao and Visaya, including Luzon. I talked to them that they must establish Pili nursery at their localities. The problem is the transportation of Pili planting materials. So that if they have already Pili nursery at their locality, they can already propagate Pili in their
Backyard.
backyard.
Okay. How much are those seedlings? Let's say what 1 foot high seedling. How much?
The gutted Pili, I'm selling it at 180
per
tree.
seedling. Per seedling.
That is double rot stock.
And how tall is that? That's
Almost 3 feet.
3 feet. And how many months old? 1 year old.
Almost 1 year.
1 year old. Okay.
After 2 years, they are planted, it will start bearing fruits.
And what's the distance between each tree?
8 by 8 solo.
8 by 8.
Solo.
8
If
by,
intercrop, it will 10 by 10 with coconut.
Is it feet or meters? Meters?
Meter.
Meters. 8 by 8 meters. Huh?
8 by 8
And
for
intercrop.
monocrop.
Okay, but for
For
intercrop.
intercrop, 10 by 10.
In coconuts.
Coconut.
Coconuts.
That's the good companion.
Okay, very good. Yeah.
Does it need a lot of water?
Yes.
No,
Yes,
no.
yes, yes.
No?
No.
In Bicol, that's the reason why it thrived in Bicol, because Bicol is a typhoon infested
In
area.
fact, in Palawan and Baler, they are producing already Pili. They bought to me and it's producing already.
Okay, just two related questions I don't do. Abroad, which country or countries have pili,
Yeah.
do they have plantations or is it also in the wild? Related to that, assuming I plant, let's say 1 hectare of pili, after 6 years, how much do I expect to make from either selling or, so, yes, 1 hectare, or whichever size, if it's half a hectare or 10 hectares, I don't know. So two related questions. Abroad, how do they source pili or whatever, if there are such? Is it plantations or also in the wild? And if I plant after 6 years, how much do I expect to make?
Are you planting abroad?
No.
Here.
Comparison with
See.
where it's so far
Yes.
it's in the wild,
Yes.
Now that you're leading to the nursery and hopefully people people who will plant. So right now abroad, how do they source Pili or whatever is compatible? What did they have Pili? What did
Actually, we are starting that in Pili because we see already the whole picture, the problems, how to start this Pili industry. Now we know we have to start with the seeds. So we are trying to identify the mother tree where the mother tree will have the most productive, most efficient tree that we have to register. Register with BPI. So the seeds we collect the seeds, and those are the seeds we plant. We don't just get from any tree because that's what happened to Cohanco Farm in Bacolod. They have 200 hectares, but it's not produced. It's not productive. That's why they cut it out.
200 trees of Pili.
200
hectares.
Sorry, 200 hectares of
200
Pili.
hectares,
Ano
yes.
yan? Piniplant
From,
na good variety.
Cohanco.
No, they didn't choose it at that time.
May cross.
No, they because they're losing a lot of money there.
They
But
cut
I
all the
tried
trees,
to convince
abandoned.
them, but
Too much
they
variation.
chose planting.
What is the problem? Is the wrong species or the wrong technique of harvesting or what?
I think everything wrong from the start. Everything wrong from the start.
Questions only, please. Questions for clarification. Yeah.
I think the tree is like any forest tree. It has, you will have a lot of genetic variation within the wild species. You're correct. Selecting mother tree, in other words, the best of what you actually have, is the way to go. And to make that most effective, you should use not seeds. You should not have any boys involved whatsoever. It should all be
On that tree.
just from the
On the tree.
ramette and then just genetic, just taking cuttings and growing from the cutting. So you should keep the genetics 100% of whatever the mother is. As soon as you allow fertilization, you will run the risk of a reduced yield. So the only way to do it is to, or one of the most efficient small-scale ways is to use a nursery.
Did you understand the comment?
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
That's what we are doing.
Before
That's
that,
the same with forest trees.
can you just complete your presentation on the process?
Yeah.
So after 6 years, what do you do the harvesting, and then what is the
Economic
process?
side of it.
What is the process involved? You extract when you extract the oil.
You know, there are two kinds of trees you have to plant.
Okay.
What you want, the fruit or the element.
Yeah,
There are
okay.
two varieties.
Okay.
The obatum for the fruit,
Yeah.
the lusonicum for the element.
Okay.
So which one you want to propagate?
Okay. Talk
Yeah.
about both. The first, okay, the two ways. No? Can you briefly describe them?
You know, I'm very, with numbers eh.
Oh.
I listen to it every time there's a speaker talking about the numbers, the
Just in
economic
general.
side.
Okay.
I always confuse the numbers. But I know it's very good business
Yeah.
because we have several, this guy in Sorsogon, the first one who planted 10 hectares, he was able to send his children to medical school. He has
Yes.
now 2 doctors, just based on his
Just based on the raw
feeling.
output, just
Yeah,
the raw
the 10
fruit.
hectares tree.
But you will have higher
Sustain
value
the
added
fruits.
if you process it, right?
Yeah.
If you have.
The Pili has many processes. You plant the fruit, somebody, you are the planter, and some will buy the fruit, and the fruit either gets sent to the trader,
Yeah.
and depends on who like to sell it as the fruit, as a kilner, or get the other parts. Like we buy the fresh fruit, we get the pulp, we process the pulp, and the kilner will also sell it to the processor.
But won't the value added be higher if the farmer does a little bit of the processing himself?
Yes, you have to.
So what is that process? You have to have a.
For the pulp, we extract the pulp.
Yeah.
Extraction of the oil. For the fruit, you cut the shell and they cook it or you roast it. There are a lot. We need still a lot of research.
Yes.
Like the cracking of the shell.
Yeah.
At present, the common practice is through the hand.
Yeah.
Pilat.
Yeah.
They use the itak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they are faster than the machine.
Yeah.
That's why people in Bicol, one of their income is doing tilat, they call it the tilat, cracking the shell.
But
They
for
come up already with
okay, for
different
the
kind of
beauty
machine.
product, for the oil, How do you come up with the oil already in the bottle?
We extract it.
Okay.
When we extract the oil, we have a hydraulic press.
Okay.
But our efficiency is still low. I can see.
How do you
when
improve
we,
it?
Yeah, we study. The pulp should contain at least 20% oil, but what we are getting is around 5 to 6%. So still a long way to go.
What is the idea? 30% or
20, at least 20.
20%.
25, yeah. That's the, when we study the pulp, it contains oil 20 to 25%, but we are only getting 5%. That shows we are still behind in our extraction. We
Okay.
need more extraction.
are you through your presentation? I think.
Yeah.
You're through. Okay, can I have applause first, and then we'll go into SA. Okay. Okay. My first question is: you have scientific analysis already, no?
Yes.
How does this compare with your other competing products?
Actually, I would say at par or even better.
Than, for
Siyempre,
example,
alam mo, yeah.
than for example what?
Like olive, we are always
Olive.
compare with olive or
Yeah.
even argan. We have make some comparable analysis. We may be better than
For example, compared to let's say ilang-ilang.
Analysis.
Ilang-ilang.
Ilang is essential oil yan eh.
Oh.
Our Pili pulp oils, we call it the carrier oil. Carrier oil.
What?
Alam?
Carrier.
Carrier.
Okay.
Pag sa LME, it's the essential oil. It's the done by distillation.
Okay,
So,
distillation.
oil,
Okay. How does it compare with the others? What are the other competing oils?
The carrier oil, Pili oil, almond oil,
Yeah.
the coconut oil, those are the carrier oil.
Okay.
Essential oil like the elderly oil, frankincense, yan, frankincense, myrrh, rosemary, peppermint, they are the essential oil. Yung just a drop.
Okay, questions first.
I use this from growing glaze.
Ano yan?
This has an LNE oil base.
Relief.
Relief, yeah.
Relief, yeah.
Is that
And
local ba yan?
what I discovered
Bikin mo.
is the mechanism, like you had mentioned that this is for anti-aging. But in all the claims that everyone makes, you also put on your things, we make no claims, okay? Because that's the animal, any of these supplements, whatever else. But what's actually happening with this is that you have bacteria on your skin, and it's always there. And when you put things like this oil on it, especially the mentholated oils, it causes the bacteria to vibrate. When it vibrates, white blood cells in your body sense it as heat, and they convert to what's called microfibers. And then they rush to the surface of the skin. So from wherever they are, that's the healing thing. And they hydrate everything in between. So this is a catalyst, okay, for the creation of, and this is true with all essential oils and things, and menthol things. That's why when you put like Vicks Vapor Rub on your back and it heats it, it's because white blood cells are perceiving it as heat. It's vibrating the bacteria and rushing up there. The right way, I met with him and we went through the whole business proposition. And the business proposition is difficult. Most of the stuff that's coming out is scavenged, okay? Is scavenged from the mountains and brought down in Bicol and all of that. If you can prove, if the FDA worked with everyone, and you had bona fide, if you took a microscope and you put this on the skin and you watch before and after of the microbes vibrating, okay, and you use that, then you can prove it. All these things, especially in our homegrown products, like noni and all of this, noni has enormous efficacy for real, and it's not the leaf. It is the fruit, which is really, really incredible in what it does. But everyone needs to work together. The government needs to say, we have certain products that we can grow here, and then get it approved by the FDA. I mean, approved, so that you don't put on your things those approved claims, because you're in a mountain of 1 million people. I was with a guy the other day, and he's selling supplements, and I said, what do you sell? He says, things for sexual. I said, herbs and stuff like that. He says, yes. I said, does it have any efficacy? And he says, we don't put any claims on it, whatever else. You have bona fide cures, okay, that have a mechanism that can be identified. That if the government looks at it and says, this is, in the first place, there's a shortage. Okay, so the prices you're getting, because there's no great market for it, are low. But if you can take it and you can say, wow, this is now legalized for a cure that actually goes on the skin and can help with anti-aging. I'm looking at this resin that I have here, and this isn't, this was a half an hour ago. It's not dry, okay? This could have wound healing properties, any of these different things, but they've got to be approved by the FDA as a medicinal product, okay? And if that happens, all of a sudden, your prices go up, and then it makes the proposition for planting much, much more attractive. I went through the thing with him, and it's very difficult to make money out of this. And then, what David says about hybrids and things like that. DA, everyone should be working together to propagate this thing and really make it work. But again, you've got regulatory capture in a lot of areas.
Okay, Mr. McKay, I think, are you on transformation?
This is the essential one we have in the market. You know, we have the LME, tested already. It's tested in the Turkey. It comes out, the LME oil, the essential oil, it was tested in the University of Anadolu, even in Paris. They found out the LME is antibacterial, antimicrobial. We have all these properties.
Yeah, but the issue is there's enormous amount of research, okay? In the vaccine thing, okay, in India, Sanofi tried to get a waiver from India based on past studies.
Yeah.
So the compilation of all the different studies, peer-reviewed studies that were approved by everything else, and making campaigns for the legitimate uses of all of these things, and then getting it approved, then doctors could use it. We're caught in the system. This has enormous value to it, but everyone has got to work together and put it into a place. It's just
Okay, so I think we have a point. So I think
He gave it to me. I have a question.
I'm very interested in the LME. If you tap the tree the right way, does that in any way affect the longevity, the life of the tree, or it can just go on forever?
The right tapping, because really...
The right tapping, yes.
You really have to learn the tapping technique to prolong the life, because the tree really needs to excrete the sap. Because even you did not tap, it just pulls out.
So pagka right way, it does not affect the life of the tree?
No.
what is the lifespan of the tree? How many
What
years?
is the life of the tree?
You know, actually we have 200
Kasi
years.
alam ko 100 years.
200 years, huh?
Oo eh.
Oh, okay.
It is still productive.
Yeah.
Then
Uh-huh.
the older the tree, the more sap.
Another question.
Right.
I know that the kind of tree produces the right kind of food for the pili nut, no? Pero how about the LME? Is it the same for any kind of species of tree, any kind of pili tree? Like the one in the Cojuangco Hacienda. If it's not good enough for the fruit, is it good enough for the LME? Can it be? Can that be the food use of it?
When we visited the Cojuangco farm in Bacolod, they had different kinds. Some of the fruits are big, some are small, so it's not.
Oh, the fruit wala na yan. Pero how about the
Wala
LME?
LME sila. And also,
Wala ring LME?
because they have that stop it.
Because they have that
No,
topic.
and also the obatum for the fruit. The obatum,
Yeah.
the obatum is for the fruit.
Yes.
And the lusonicon is really for the LME. So even the obatum, they have the sap, but the quality is not as good as the lusonicon.
So the LME is also not as good
Yeah.
for certain kinds of
LME,
trees.
And the tree variety.
The main factor is not the kind of tree you plant, but the soil. All of that.
That's why in Bicol, it is most convenient way
Can you talk to the mic so we can all hear?
Actually, that's what makes us unique. So we can claim all over the world that Pili is only available in Bicol. Maybe factor nga po yung from the typhoon, and then it makes the soil stronger, and then that's why mas nutritious yung plant yung trees natin from the fruit and come from the LME oil.
And the kind of tree that you plant, kasi
Same.
sabi mo iba-iba yan eh.
two kinds. Yung Obatum for the fruit, Lusonicum for the LMA.
Okay.
We have
Okay.
two kinds. And now you know the Pili tree, we call it a very resilient tree because when it is hit by typhoon, the more battered by typhoon, the more propitious the fruits.
Because
Alang yung
because the wind puts stress on the tree itself.
Yeah, the more
no?
stress,
Yeah,
the
very
more
good. Yeah,
fruits.
yeah. Okay. So it's not to make the soil richer; it's to strengthen the tree by going through exercising. Right? Okay.
That's what I said.